We got this thing called the fraud triangle, and I can never remember it, but there's pressure or incentive to steal.
Mhm.
There's the opportunity, but because the opportunity presented itself, it's
Mhm.
and then there's the rationalization. Well, they're making a ton of money anyway, so what does it matter? Like if they're stealing from
Um,
a company, they're going to rationalize. And they say
mhm.
fraud is highly likely to occur when all three components exist. And it's often hidden and psychological. And when all of this converges, then you've got um,
Mhm.
but I don't know, some people would say that it was already in
Hello,
you.
everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Financial Fraud Friday with myself and Kerrina. This is our bi-weekly chat conversation that we let you guys join in on because this is just something that we're both passionate about. And basically, we just break down recent fraud cases. And we try to relate that back to taxes and what we do on a regular and daily basis, and try to leave you guys with some tips and some useful information that you can use to apply to your financial situations. Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with me, my name is Nike Togba. I am the owner of Togba and Associates, a tax planning and advisory firm focused on entrepreneurs and professionals utilizing a personalized approach. Okay, we provide you with the support you need to confidently take control of your tax situation. Okay. Our services include bookkeeping, tax preparation, and advisory services. If you would like a consultation with me, please visit tobanassociates.com and schedule a consultation. All right.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Kerrina O'Connor, the CEO and founder of Cake with a K Financial, where we help our six-figure solopreneurs with their tax problems so they can run their business with confidence. This usually includes a tax bill that you cannot pay in full with the IRS or the state, and or if you have not filed your taxes for the last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 years, please book a call with us and you can go on cake with a K financial.com to book a call there. And now I'm going to do the disclaimer to make sure that
Okay.
we understand what this information is. So, this episode, oh, disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. This episode is for educational and informational purposes only. This is not legal, tax, or financial advice. All information discussed comes from public court filings, news reports, and press releases. Everyone discussed is presumed innocent unless proven guilty in court. We are tax professionals, but we are not yours yet. But we can be. If you would like, book a link in the bio. And now, Nikkei, what is the topic for today?
All right, y'all. Okay, so this one, okay. There was a plethora. Okay. There were so many
Yeah.
articles on this particular subject. So I just pulled the three that came from me. So I'll try to touch on each one really quickly. Okay. But they are all related, and then we can kind of shoot back and forth what you think. So this one is taken from, so I've got three. First one, taken from a press release dated May 3rd, 2026 from Syracuse.com. Six upstate New York residents accused of orchestrating a $1.3 million tax refund fraud scheme. A federal grand jury has indicted six upstate New Yorkers accused of stealing U.S. Treasury tax refund checks and using fake identities to cash them at financial institutions across New York and Pennsylvania. Between August 2023 and May 2024, the defendants allegedly obtained stolen Treasury tax refund checks made payable to other people, of course, used fraudulent identification documents to open bank accounts in the names of the check recipients, deposited the stolen checks, and then withdrew or transferred the funds for their own benefit. Estimated losses there totaled about 1.3 million. Then I got another, taken from a press release dated April 14th, 2026, from the United States Attorney's Office, Eastern District of New York. Two postal workers sentenced for theft of U.S. Treasury checks valued at more than $4 million from Kennedy Airport Mail Facility. Some of the same, the same routine. get the checks, open a bank account somehow fraudulently in the the recipient's name, and then they cash the checks, so on and so forth. The last one is taken from a press release dated April 30th, 2026 from irs.gov. Former U.S. postal carriers, a bank manager, and a convicted felon, I don't know, indicted on federal charges for nearly $5 million bank fraud and a mail theft scheme. I want to go back and mention that for the last one, it was a $4 million, 4 million in
Mhm.
checks. This one, $5 million bank fraud scheme to former U.S. Postal Service mail carriers up here in the good old ATL. A former Alpharetta assistant bank manager and a convicted felon face federal charges after participating in a scheme to steal valuable items from the mail, including a $4.9 million U.S. Treasury check. Beginning in or about March 2020 and continuing through September 2025, I'm not gonna call these young ladies names. I'm just gonna, I'm being trying to be nice. You know what I mean? I don't want to call their names. But hey, listen, okay, Shonda Good and Kernisha Hamilton, who were then employed, I mean, because they done put all their little information out here, who were then employed as U.S. Postal Service city carriers assigned to the Ralph McGill Post Office in Atlanta, Georgia, and the Marietta Main Post Office in Marietta, Georgia, respectively, allegedly stole mail containing checks, credit cards, gift cards, and other items of value in order to sell them. Um, yeah, this is a thing, I mean,
Yeah.
we kind of we wanted to touch on this because there's been a change in the law which we kind of wanted to discuss too, but before we get to the change in the law, Karina, thoughts.
Yeah. All I'm hearing is million, 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 millions. I guess they took the go big and go home. Like nothing, none of them were under a million. None of them. I guess the lowest was like a million-ish, right? And then they had
Hmm.
to split between like six people. So I guess,
Hmm.
but like the others are probably approximately two. Most of them are about almost two to four people in the $4 to $5 million range.
Yep.
Ooh. At the end, most of them were employees. There was a few that were like bank employees, but like most of them were actually USPS
Right.
employees.
Right. Exactly.
So like
Hmm.
they had what the good government, they had the good government job and decided to, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And this also brings me, I guess we can talk about it a little bit, like touch on it. They say now that the USPS, if they're not, because they are not federally funded like the rest of them. So this is why when there's government shutdowns, the USPS doesn't feel anything because they get their own funding. They're self-funded because they,
Okay.
the stamps and all the other things that they sell. But they said as of 2027, like if they don't get funds in, or maybe they need to increase the stamp amount, they'll be out of business by 2027.
Well, and and maybe this also ties into because there's changes now. Because remember before, you could with your chest say the IRS will never contact you via XYZ, which they
Mm-hmm.
still don't. They still don't call you. They're still gonna send correspondence
A
via
letter.
snail mail. But now they're allowing you to upload your responses to, letter audits via a
Mm.
portal, right? So that's a
Oh,
change
nice.
that has occurred. Um, so, maybe that is in preparation for what you're discussing. I don't know. I'm just projecting. Maybe it is. But
Oh. It's a lot there.
You know
It's a lot
what?
there.
And again, maybe this is why, for those of you who are not familiar, the IRS is phasing out paper checks. Okay. According
Released.
to, so this are the IRS released on September 23rd, 2025, per Executive Order 14247, that the Internal Revenue Service will be phasing out, and that began in September 30th of 2025. They're phasing out being able to receive paper tax refund checks. So they started with individual taxpayers first. So they're phasing that out with individual taxpayers. Um, I know, Karina, you said that they do have an exception for those, because your concern was individuals who don't have bank
Don't
accounts.
have bank accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll
Um,
be surprised. People still don't.
don't have bank accounts. But they are saying that they have the reason for this change is to protect taxpayers.
Mhm.
You can see why.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is not a save all. This is not like, you know what I mean?
It's not.
There's no save all. But they're saying that this protects taxpayers because paper checks are over 16 times more likely to be lost, stolen, altered, or delayed. They
Heavy
are.
on
You can
all
see
of
the
those.
delayed part. And let's see. They say it's going to help speed up refunds and cost cuts. Cut costs, cost cuts, cut costs.
Yeah.
Um, so I can see it. I can
I
see it.
think that's the most important part, like is the cutting of costs. Especially with the how abrupt it was, because they literally spoke about it last year to say, oh yeah, we're going to go ahead and not have paper checks. And then in 2026, they started
Not having.
basically
Mm.
not having paper checks. You know what I'm saying? So the speed at which it was done, because we physically don't have to pay anything to receive the mail, but they have to pay for the stamps
To
and things,
send the
stamps
mail.
to send it
I've never thought about
to
that.
have somebody has to physically go to the mailbox. You know what I
Never
mean?
thought about that.
Like all of those
Never
things.
considered that. Okay.
What if it was a certified mail or something? You got to pay for that. That's separate. So maybe all of those things combined, which kind of sped up the process.
I never
Um,
considered that. Okay.
yeah, so I feel like it was mainly first funds and then secondary protecting the taxpayer, because usually when they roll out a change like that, they kind of they do it in phases
Mhm.
so quickly so people can kind of catch up with it. Um, because like I said, a lot of people, you'd be surprised, are still they still want their paper checks
Yeah.
because they don't have a bank account. They're, some of them have a bank account and they just don't want the government to, like I've had that too. Like they don't want the
Yeah,
government
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen that.
to have their account and routing number. So they're
Like,
like,
child,
"Oh
they
no,
got
just
your
send it to
bank account
me."
and routing number anyway. I don't know what you think.
They can
What
get
you
it,
think
but
they
that's
don't.
another
Or,
conversation for
yeah.
another day.
Why you?
But yeah, so like some people are kind of like really about that, so they only want to have this information or whatever that information. So
Yeah.
for those people who want to get a check now, they'll either have to do direct deposit, or they have other options like the debit card thing, where where they'll get that. But it's also interesting to me because a lot of this stuff happened between like COVID time up until like now. I think the latest one was 2025. They were doing these fraud things.
Well, the other thing is that they're also trying to extend it to making payments. So, you have
Oh yeah.
clients that like writing checks. They like to make their payments via check. They're still not comfortable with the electronic way things are done electronically, so they prefer to write checks. So they're starting to phase that out too. That you can't make
Yes.
payment via check either. Um, but you know. But you mentioned that all of this started
during COVID. And I think maybe what has pushed up a lot, what and why wouldn't it? You got
Mhm.
money flowing with the way that it was done and with
That's
the
true.
speed at with which it was,
Yeah.
how trying to resolve an issue, there were no regulations, no rules, no guidelines, no guardrails. It was a wild, wild west. Yeah, it was a wild, wild
Yeah.
west. So all that's happening now is
Catching
they're
up
catching
to it.
up.
Catching up
They're
to it.
catching up. I mean, because these, my good friends in Atlanta, they were doing it since 2020.
Yeah. Prior to
2020
COVID.
to 2025.
Yes, because they were the ones that were using the masks and stuff going
Oh
to the
yeah, yeah,
bank.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, and they were
Yeah.
able to bring in a bank manager, but it seemed like all of them had somebody at the bank that they were working with,
That they were working with or something.
that they were able to turn or whatever, and get in on it.
That's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it. Like, continue, continue. I can see,
Well, no, 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 I go because I'm just like 4 point.
yeah,
Listen, million. I'm like,
million,
y'all don't
million.
absolute. If you think somebody ain't gonna come looking for 4.9 million dollars, I'm trying to figure out what planet you live on.
Yes,
I'm looking
there's
for
like
four
two
thousand
things
dollars. Where
happening.
is my money?
Yeah, there's a few things happening here because, like,
Okay.
there's that one section, one side where people are stealing this money. Remember, like, there are people's checks and fraudulent things are happening.
Hmm.
Because usually, unless somebody says that it's fraud happening with a check, people may not know that something is going wrong. What do I mean by that? So, like, one, I think it's a very important for people, like, especially like during these days. I
Hmm.
find like the older generation typically check their mail every day.
Yeah.
Millennials and under do not. They will let it pile up and all of the, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not checking their mail sometimes once a month or once a quarter. Like, I've heard some stories of people not checking. They don't even go to their mailbox. Like, especially if they work in an apartment and stuff. They just they just, you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
I can
Are
attest.
you guilty? Because you have the guilty face.
Yeah. I am so guilty. I might check my mail every 2 weeks, and that's only because I'm like, let me get it out the mailbox so the mail person
That
will
is
have somewhere to put the
hilarious.
rest of the stuff. Go get my
That's
mail. Other
that's
than that,
hilarious.
why are you mailing me? Oh, it's certain people, certain things I'm old school about that I want in the mail. But other than that, unless I'm looking for something, I'm checking the mail. But then again, I'm not.
That's funny.
But go ahead.
But see, that's how they get you because you they're already at the post. They're checking your mail every day. Like, they know what's coming through and going through and seeing, oh, Department of Treasury. They know more than likely that's going to be an IRS check,
Of
especially if
course.
it's during the season
Season.
of tax,
Mhm.
right after Christmas time or even during Christmas time.
And the
Christmas
envelope's
time
very
comes
distinct. Everybody knows what
very
the envelope
distinct.
looks like. Yeah.
Everybody knows what the envelope looks like. So all of those things they know. So people who are not expecting a refund or not even checking their thing, they're like, oh, well, it's not coming. And then
Yeah.
when it's checked, when it's cash, the IRS doesn't necessarily know that it's not the person. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
cashing the check
Yeah. True.
until something comes up and then, like, hey, I never got my refund check. And the IRS looks like, oh, actually it was cashed on X, Y, and Z. That wasn't me. Oh, investigation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or that same bank account is getting millions of dollars, which they normally don't do. It's very like, check your mail, guys. Check
But
your
and then here's the other thing, right? We're these stories only made it out into the
yes.
public because they're millions of dollars. But think
Right.
about those
Yes.
individuals who are only
The onesie
receiving a
twosies.
$300 refund check or a
Mhm.
250 or a $3,000 refund check.
Something
It's
low.
not
Yeah.
worth the manpower for me to look for a $3,000 work refund check.
Yeah.
Now, what? what's the process? You know what I mean? Now you have to wait. The bank's got to be notified. They've got to
Yeah.
be notified. How, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now you
Yes.
say you were waiting on that 3,000. You needed that 3,000
You
for something.
needed it.
You were banking on it for something, some reason or another. And now it's caught up in, you know,
Fraud.
basically.
Yeah. So that's something for us. Okay, so then we got to tell people what to do. So on average, you should be getting your refund. The IRS typically says 21 business days. Usually it's sooner than that, especially if it's direct deposit.
Hmm.
I think I know people are, I would prefer you do direct deposit because you get that money quicker.
Right.
If it's a situation where you don't want to do direct deposit, I guess understand that it will be delayed even further, and you need to make sure that you check what your options are for the direct debit card. Like I said, it's all new. Like this just
Right.
happened this tax
Exactly.
season.
This year. Yeah.
To get that debit card so that you can get the money. Make sure you know how much money that you're supposed to be getting, and that you received all of that money. Because there was some of them where they're taking partial checks. They weren't taking partial amounts. They weren't taking the full amounts. I can't remember the
Oh
guy. I think
no.
it was the Syracuse guy.
What they were doing,
Um, I
they
think it
were
was the
selling
Syracuse.
the checks. So they would sell the check
Yes.
for a portion of the proceeds. So
Yes.
that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
If the check
So
was
I'm
like
like,
a mil, they'd be like, give me, 100K,
yeah,
and yeah. So
yeah.
I'm sorry, I interrupted, but you were telling them the
No
process
worries.
of how to
Yeah. So make sure that
rectify.
you get that situated.
Uh-huh.
I always harp on everybody getting an IRS.gov account. Get an IRS account. Get an IRS account. I mean, all of us, for the most, let me caveat that. For the most part, pretty much almost everybody can do it. There have been some issues where, for those people who haven't filed taxes for some time, the IRS doesn't have your information in there. So you might have to actually go in person and file tax and all the things. But um, once you've been filing your taxes, you
Hmm.
can go ahead and create an IRS.gov account. It's going to be through ID.me. Make sure you have your ID. They're going to scan your face front and back, that it's not expired, all of those things. Then you just do it. Once you're verified, you're able to sign in relatively easily. And I think your verification will last for about 2 to 3 years. You go in there and you can see the notices for the most part. Not every single notice, but most of the important notices are on the IRS account.
Yeah.
So you can see what's going on in your account, because it's very important to get that. And I would say IP pin, get an IP pin. Identity theft,
You know what? I
like
can agree with that. Why not? Even
personal,
if
I don't remember what it stands for. Like
identity protection,
pin,
what I say? A pin, identity protection
pin,
pin.
yeah, pin, something like that. So like
So you
get
just,
get
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You can opt in for you and your children to get it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have because before, what the IRS would do, if you got your identity stolen as it pertains to theft or whatever, they'll automatically give you an IP pin. But you can also opt in for you and your children to make sure that nobody's using your information falsely and filing a tax return on your behalf and sending the refund to their address.
Yeah,
Um, because they'll have to like get that pin from
they'll have to have it.
their ID account. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think that would be another way to kind of try to mitigate it, and getting a direct deposit account.
yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, no, I think I mean, because there isn't, like we were talking about, this is not, there's no catch-all. There's no fix. Nothing really. You know what I mean? If people steal checks, they're gonna steal. Yeah,
They're gonna
they,
steal.
they just gonna steal. People just, like you say, people gonna people. They just gonna
Oh,
steal.
dude.
So, so there isn't just a fail safe. Like there's no way this can
Yeah,
happen. And so I guess these are just steps you can take to make the process harder for someone
harder.
going to try to do those things to you. I definitely recommend the IP pen. Um, for sure. Definitely recommend that one. Um, I guess I'm just because we talk about these stories, we talk
Yeah.
about fraud and I was saying to you, I was like, I don't understand. I kept saying, I don't get it. I don't
Yeah,
get
I
it.
don't need it.
How on God's green earth are you not shaking in your boots about this? Like,
Mhm.
there's a certain sense of resolve that you gotta have that I'm gonna steal for. When I tell you, you, even though it's being used incorrectly, Lord, grant me that level of resolution where my shoulders are so stiff on
Mm,
the movement that I'm about to make. Not in
yeah,
the wrong thing. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? But because how is that didn't scare you? That's not scary to you? Like, you're not scared in the
I
least?
don't know.
Uh, It can't be.
I don't know. I don't know what the thought process is.
Or, like for instance, with these young ladies, it could very well have been that they have been getting away with it for so long that you lose sight and think maybe you get what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe you get bold, you get arrogant, you get
Oh, yeah.
comfortable,
Cocky. Yeah.
cocky, maybe, and think that it, you know,
Good now. I've been doing this for so long. I've been doing whatever. And it's just,
could be.
yeah.
So
I think
I
it's
don't know.
all like that. They're all like that. It's sadly, especially it's I'm laughing, but it's like not funny. It's like one of those things where I don't understand it, especially it's their this is their livelihood. This isn't even like it wasn't even like a side thing.
Yeah.
Like this is their work. This is their job. This is what they, you know, do. And they risked it all in this economy. They risked it all to go to jail and lose your job. And I think USPS still has pensions. This is a government job. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
what the thought process. I mean, maybe quick money.
That's all it is
Quick
to
money,
me.
greed. Like I can get it quicker. It's but it just sucks because it's like you received a job like this, right? We all know how hard it is to get into government jobs. Now, even more so, right? Especially under this DEI, blah, 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 like of things that they don't want to do. It is so hard to get a government job, keep a government job. Well, get a government job. Usually, unless you did something illegal like this, they don't fire you. But now these days they're starting to fire and lay off, right? You're going to jeopardize that for some for millions and your life. Your life. I'm sure they have family members and things that are worried about them, are concerned, or what that's not the word I'm looking for. Maybe they're the breadwinner or something for their family, and now that has been taken because they decided to take from other people, because this is not even just random banks. Now they're taking money from people who needed it, other taxpayers that should have gotten those checks, that did not get those checks, and now have to prove that it's fraud, and maybe took a year or so, like we said about that 3,000, maybe it took a year or so to get the $3,000 that they actually should have gotten because of this.
I
Who knows? I don't know what the thought process is.
Yeah, I don't know what the thought process is either. But in fraud, we got this thing called the fraud triangle. And I can never remember it, but there's pressure or incentive to steal.
Okay.
There's the opportunity, but because the opportunity presented itself, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the rationalization. Well, they're making a ton of money anyway, so what does it matter? Like if they're stealing from a company, they're going to rationalize. And they
Okay.
say fraud is highly likely to occur when all three components exist.
Okay.
And it's often hidden and psychological. And when all of this converges, then you've got um,
Mm.
but I don't know, some people would say that it was already in you,
Oh,
meaning
yeah.
you were gonna do whether it was here, tomorrow, somewhere else, the next job, you were gonna do it anyway. So it was already in you. But I wouldn't say that. Some people do it because they are
Gotcha.
genuinely in need. Now, if that
Yeah.
hadn't been the
Wow,
case at where
now.
we see,
Oh yeah, I was like, oh now 5 million, 4 million, you know what I'm saying?
you ain't need.
I don't hear
That
nobody,
was
this is not no
free.
John Q situation where
Right,
you're saving your son from
right. This is not John Q, right?
It's not John Q.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. But
Yeah.
you know, you guys, I mean, overall, I guess the takeaways here are that, we just want you guys to know that paper checks are being phased out. They're currently in the
Yeah.
process of being phased out. Um, and that is the ability to receive your refunds via paper check and the ability to make payments to the IRS via check. Don't know this,
Mhm.
and we're just speaking of the IRS because don't know what states. If states have
Oh, true.
adopted,
Yeah,
have
the
they
same
adopted
thing
the same, some states adopt,
what the
the
IRS
IRS
does.
rules. Like, I know Georgia has adopted certain rules with the IRS. For instance, the standard deduction, itemized deduction, you can't do if just because if you itemize federally, you must itemize, you know what I mean?
Out
So
of
they've
my state,
got that
yeah.
rule. So some of the rules are the same, but I don't know if they've adopted this one. But and then the other thing is to protect yourself. Like Karina
Yes,
said,
always.
IP PIN is a great way to do it. Get a irs.gov account, she mentioned. Um,
Remember
and stay on top of your stuff
on your stuff.
as
Yeah,
hard
if
as
you know
it
you're
is.
getting a refund, just look out for it. Make sure it goes through. I've had so many clients, even direct deposit. Sometimes the amount might be a little. So like,
They're not paying
they're like,
attention.
oh,
Yeah.
they're not paying attention. So they're asking, oh yeah, I didn't get the money. And then I check and the IRS account, on the IRS site, you can check where's my refund? Where's my refund on the IRS site?
Hmm.
And you check and I'm like, oh, the IRS says that you got it back in March. Do you want to go ahead and check your bank account? And then they check and they're like, oh, I did get it. I'm like, yeah.
Better than
Check your
me.
account, just make sure, and it happens, it's really common. Just make sure, like, hey,
Yeah,
did it
yeah, yeah.
happen? And if it didn't, then you go ahead and take the next steps, which is called the
Dude.
IRS and then like fraud.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, because yeah, you have some of them that are like that. I might ask them, like, hey, did you get your deposit? I don't even know, girl. I'm like, okay,
I
all
need you to I need you to
right.
know.
And
Right.
I'm not mad at
I
them.
need you to
It's
know.
like,
It would be
listen,
it
the
would be good for
money
you to
is
know.
rolling in so much that
Yeah, they don't
if
notice.
I didn't even, you know what I mean? But you still,
But keep up,
yeah, you still got.
right? Keep up with it.
So, all right, you guys, that is our back and forth on that one because we will keep going. We can anyway. But thanks you guys for hanging out with us. Again, you can visit the links on our profile to schedule a consultation if you'd like to speak with us. I encourage you guys, if you do not have a tax professional, to download my 6 tips for choosing your tax professional. That link is in my profile. If you're watching on Instagram, it is in the profile or in the description here on YouTube. Um, yeah, so we're available to assist. Feel free to reach out to either one of us. Please follow Karina
Cake with the K, financial.
and you can follow me at Togba and Associates. But all right, you guys, have a wonderful rest of the day, and we will see you again in 2 weeks. All right, bye. It won't stop the recording. What is up with this thing?
Uh,